All right, cheers and salutations. My name is Kit. This is Americans Learn. Please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and ding, 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 hit that ring bell notification. That way, all you lovely, hip, cool cats are made aware when we upload new content upon our YouTube channel. And today, we got ourselves a fun blast from the past from SABATON titled Hellfighters official lyric video. And listen, it's been a while since I listened to a SABATON music video, and SABATON, they've done a lot of great stuff. Please be sure to check out their original work and follow them on all of their social media. We have a whole treasure trove of us reacting and checking out, and also mention getting our learn on from about the all the various groups and people that SABATON has done songs about in honor and tribute of the various military commanders or units throughout antiquity and even in this modern day and age. So let's find out about the Harlem Hellfighters by SABATON. It's only a 3-minute, 26-second video. So here's the deal. Here's the deal that I make to all of you, my election promise, because that's right, the elections are now over. What I'm going to do is play the video in its entirety, and then I will give my thoughts and comments after the music video is done. So we'll sit back, relax, hope your November is treating you well, and let's enjoy this video in a 3, a 2, and an uno.
From a land across the ocean to the western front where they stood, full of courage and devotion, because there's a turn as the spring offenses kept churning, where the men would earn their name. See the tides of battle turning, and the foes ignite their flame. In the toll of the bell, kept fighting for 6 months in hell. As the war rages on, they fight at the edge of the Argonne. Hear the toll of the bell, over 6 months in hell. Out of the trenches they came. As the war rages on, at the edge of the Argonne, Hellfighters earning their name. They would have no prisoners taken, and they never lost any ground. And the cross for war unshaken, never turned around. As the armistice drawing closer, the 369s kept on fighting till it was over, and they were first to reach the Rhine. Hear the toll of the bell, kept fighting for 6 months in hell. As the war rages on, they fight at the edge of the Argonne. Hear the toll of the bell, over 6 months in hell. Out of the trenches they came. As the war rages on, at the edge of the Argonne, Hellfighters earning their name. Hear the toll of the bell, over 6 months in hell. Out of the trenches they came. As the war rages on, at the edge of the Argonne, Hellfighters earning their name.
All right off the bat, that was kick ass. All right, the Harlem Hellfighters. So we hear at Americans Learn. Always like to get our learn on and learn more about, who these individuals are and what they're about. So, who are the Harlem Hellfighters? Well, the men of the 300. Hold on. The men of the 369th Infantry Regiment were referred to as the Hellfighters by the Germans from Germania. Never forgive Germania what it did to Rome in World War I. Today, they are remembered as the Harlem Hellfighters and are known for being under fire for 191 days, 6 months straight, the longest deployment of any American unit during the Great War, WW1. But despite this, they never lost a foot of ground and not a single man was taken prisoner. The history behind the unit. The unit was originally the 15th Infantry Regiment from the New York National Guard. It was created before the war broke out, following pressure from people in black communities who wanted to serve in the U.S. National Guard. When the U.S. joined the war and began sending troops to Europe in 1917, the 369th was shipped out on December 27th. Oh. And they arrived in France on New Year's Day, 1918, and joined the 185th Infantry Brigade. Their unit was not given combat training. Oh, my God. They were instead assigned manual labor such as digging latrines, and they experienced a great deal of racial harassment from Army officials. American Commander John Pershing loaned the 369th to the French 161st Division in April, and it was only after that they would begin to earn their combat honors. The unofficial reason for this loan was that some white soldiers refused to serve alongside African Americans. In fact, the American Expeditionary Force even released a pamphlet to the whole French army entitled Secret Information Concerning Black American Troops. Stickbat. Stickbat requested that the French troops, most of whom did not share the prevalent racist views from their American counterparts, stop treating African Americans as equal. It warned that their tendency towards, I got to be careful with this word, assault, but it's the R word, because YouTube, claiming that black American troops in France have, by themselves, given rise to many complaints for attempted assault as the rest of the army. Damn. And this was, of course, not true. The pamphlet also requested that French troops not eat meals or shake hands with them, nor commend them too highly, as this would lead to them thinking themselves more important than they were, and that would be harmful to American society after the war. Oh, God. Douchebags, man. What the hell? Despite this, the French army welcomed the reinforcements with open arms. They've been fighting and dying on their own land for 3 years by the point, and new soldiers were a godsend. In mid-April, the 369th was assigned to a 4.5-kilometer stretch of the front in the Argonne under the command of French General Henry Gouraud, and they were issued French rifles and helmets. Their motto, "Goddamn, let's go." They still didn't receive combat training, though. They're just throwing them out there in the meat grinder. What the hell? As mentioned before, the unit served once for over 6 months straight. They suffered 1,300 casualties. I'm so sorry. During that time, most of the U.S. Army most during any U.S. Army regiment. My goodness. Yet, despite their obvious bravery, they were not well treated. Combat troops were sometimes taken out of the line to serve as orderlies. Pay was stopped for nearly the entire regiment at one point, and they endured things like this quite often. It wasn't just during the war either. When they left France to go home in early 1919, the regimental band wasn't allowed to play as they marched to the transport ship. It was February by the time the Harlem Hellfighters returned to New York, and they had a victory parade along the Fifth Avenue led by Sergeant Henry Johnson. The parade showcased that despite what had happened overseas, it was not reflected back at home. Since the parade was all black, the Hellfighters and the other African-American regiments were not allowed to participate in the main victory parade that was strictly segregated. Oh, my goodness. That's terrible. So who is Henry Johnson? Let's find out who he is. Having said that, they were the first New York unit to return home, and they were placed on a permanent list, like other veteran units. The French government, by the way, awarded the highest military award to them to 170 soldiers. So that's their equivalent of the Medal of Honor. Wow. Including Henry Johnson, the parade leader, who was the first American to receive that award for their efforts and their achievements during the war. Johnson performed some of the most remarkable feats of this or any other war in May 1918. He was a private at the time. On May 14th, he and another private, Needham Roberts, were on sentry duty. You got to keep an eye out. The two came under fire from German snipers and were pinned down in their dugout. They lined up a box of grenades to be ready in case the Germans raided them. Just after 0200 hours, Johnson heard wire cutters at the perimeter fence, and he told Roberts to hightail it back and alert the French. Then, oh my goodness, wow. Then, after Johnson threw a grenade, the Germans retaliated with grenades and gunfire. Roberts turned back to help Johnson, but was hit by a grenade shrapnel and was badly injured. Johnson managed to get him back to the dugout, but now they were outnumbered by 20 to 30 Germans coming from multiple directions. Johnson ran out of grenades and even took a few bullets, but he kept on firing his rifle into the darkness until it jammed when he accidentally loaded French ammunition into the American rifle. That'll happen. The Germans were right on top of him after that, so he used the rifle as a club until the stock splintered. Johnson took a blow to the head and he went down, but when the Germans tried to grab Roberts, Johnson got up again and attacked them with his bolo knife, the only weapon he had left. He wounded one German, killed another, took a pistol shot to the arm, and stabbed yet another German who climbed on his back. When the Germans realized the French and Americans were arriving on the scene, they fled. Good. Johnson had reportedly killed 4 Germans and wounded over 2 dozen, and he himself sustained 21 wounds. You can imagine the praise he received to this, but he said later, there wasn't anything so fine about it. Just fought for my life. A rabbit would have done that. Oh, wow, really brave. He was given the nickname Black Death after this, and he would go on to do lecture tours post-war. On these tours, he was supposed to talk about racial harmony in the trenches, which was a huge lie, and in some places, he definitely did not do this, talking instead about the abuse and harassment he and his comrades endured. Now, contrary to what multiple sources claim, he did not receive disability pay from the U.S. government, but also contrary to multiple sources, he died in 1921. Oh. It was myocarditis, not alcoholism. I'm so sorry that happened. Henry Johnson was not awarded any medals by the U.S. Army or the U.S. government until long after his death. Wow. That's the story of the Harlem Hellfighters. There's a little bit more here. Hang on. The regimental band that traveled the world. Back to the unit's regimental band. One may not consider it a big deal that they weren't allowed to play on the march to their ship, but their band was a big deal. Like other regimental bands, they played to boost morale, but unlike other bands, by the end of the war, they were one of the most famous bands in all of Europe. In early 19, they traveled thousands of kilometers, playing for British, French, and American military and French civilian audiences. They introduced early jazz music to Europe, which was a major. All right, gotta love some jazz music. James Reese Europe, the leading figure of the New York's African-American music scene during the teens, was their band leader. His story ended tragically, though. He was stabbed by one of his musicians on May 9th, 1919, in an argument during a show's intermission. But since the wound was inflicted with a penknife, he and his bandmates thought it was merely superficial. He told the band to finish the show after the intermission, but the hospital was unable to stop the bleeding, and he died a few hours later. He was the first African-American to have a public funeral in New York City. Well, may he rest in peace. May they all rest in peace. And shout out to the 369th Infantry Regiment, also known as the Harlem Hellfighters. That's SABATON, and that was an awesome music video. 10 out of 10. Please, folks, support SABATON. Follow them on all their social media. They do a lot of great work. 10 out of 10. Please take good care of yourselves, and you always learn something new.